Shadow stopped first. 1 second. The Navy SEAL K9 was walking calmly beside Logan. The next, he was snarling into a dark alley like he'd sensed death itself. Logan grabbed the leash, confused. Shadow was the most disciplined dog in the unit. He never reacted without a reason. Then Logan saw her, a homeless woman slumped against a freezing brick wall, clutching a battered violin case. Her lips were blue. Her hands shook violently, and her terrified eyes were locked on something behind Logan. Shadow lunged forward, refusing to leave her side. "Easy, boy," Logan murmured, but the panic in the woman's voice made his blood run cold. "Please, don't let them find me. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel." Snowflakes drifted lazily through the glow of the streetlights as Navy SEAL Logan Pierce walked down the empty sidewalk, his breath rising in thin clouds. The night was bitter, the kind that settled deep into the bones, but Logan didn't slow his pace. After 12 hours of debriefs and training drills, all he wanted was silence. Beside him, his German shepherd, Shadow, matched every step with quiet discipline, boots and paws crunching softly against the icy pavement. The city felt half asleep, wrapped in cold and darkness. Logan adjusted his jacket, letting out a tired sigh, unaware that tonight nothing would stay quiet. Shadow suddenly halted, his body stiffening as if an invisible wall had appeared in front of him. Logan took 2 steps before realizing his partner was no longer beside him. "Shadow, heel," he ordered, his voice firm despite his fatigue. But the dog didn't move. Shadow's ears were pinned forward, his gaze locked on the mouth of a narrow alley. A low rumble vibrated in his chest, half growl, half warning. Logan frowned. Shadow wasn't the type to react without reason. Years of SEAL training had sharpened his instincts beyond question. "Come on." "Buddy," Logan muttered, tugging the leash. Shadow refused. Instead, he took a single step toward the darkness. Logan followed Shadow's line of sight and finally noticed the faintest movement deep inside the alley. At first, he assumed it was just trash shifting in the wind, until a weak cough echoed against the brick walls. He stepped closer. Squinting through the dim light, that's when he saw her. A Mai, young homeless woman, sat slumped against a graffiti-covered wall. Her coat torn, her hair matted from cold and snow. She clutched a battered violin case to her chest, as if it were the only thing keeping her alive. Her lips trembled with each shallow breath. Her eyes glazed with fear and exhaustion. Shadow approached her slowly, tail low, head tilted with concern. Logan felt the first prick of unease. Logan exhaled sharply and shook his head. "Not tonight," he muttered, pulling lightly on Shadow's leash. He'd seen countless homeless cases during late patrols, people who needed more help than he could offer. This wasn't his mission. Not now. But Shadow didn't budge. The dog planted his paws, muscles rigid, eyes fixed on the trembling woman, as if guarding her was the only order he'd ever been given. "Shadow." "Let's go," Logan insisted, frustration rising. He tugged harder. Shadow took a single step back, then leaned forward again, refusing to leave. Logan groaned, rubbing his forehead. "Fine," he whispered. "We'll check on her. Then we're gone." As Logan stepped closer, the woman flinched violently. her grip tightening around the violin case as if she feared he might rip it away. "Please, don't hurt me," she whispered, her voice barely strong enough to carry through the cold. Logan raised his hands gently. "I'm not here to harm you," he said softly, but she shook her head, eyes wide and unfocused. Shadow approached with slow, deliberate steps, lowering his head in reassurance. The woman tried to push herself upright, only for her knees to buckle beneath her. She collapsed with a sharp gasp, her body trembling uncontrollably. Shadow immediately pressed beside her, whining. Logan dropped to one knee, heart tightening. This wasn't simple homelessness anymore. She was in real danger. Logan's training snapped into place. He set aside questions, focusing only on her weakening breaths and the alarming chill of her skin. "Stay with me," he murmured, checking her pulse thin, rapid, unstable. Shadow nudged her shoulder anxiously, circling tight as if trying to shield her from the night. Logan scanned her quickly for injuries, but nothing explained why she was fading so fast. Hunger? Exposure? Illness? The woman forced her eyes open, breath shuddering. "Don't let them find me," she whispered, barely audible. Logan froze. "Them?" Before he could ask more, her head slumped forward, consciousness slipping away. Whatever was happening, it was much bigger than he'd thought. Logan gently lifted the violin case from her weakening arms, intending only to check its weight, but the moment his fingers touched it, the woman's eyes shot open in panic. "No!" she gasped, clutching at the air. "Don't open it. Please." Her desperation stopped him cold. The case was heavier than any ordinary violin should be. The wood cracked along the edges, the latch secured with an unusual metal lock. Something had slammed into it hard. Shadow sniffed the case intensely, then let out a low growl that tightened Logan's grip. "What's inside?" Logan asked quietly. The woman's lips trembled. "It's all I have left," she whispered, tears gathering. "If they get it, I'm finished." The woman swallowed hard, her breath sharp and uneven. "I wasn't always like this," she whispered, clutching the case as if it were her heartbeat. "I used to play. On stages, real stages. Concert halls." Logan blinked, taken aback. Her clothes may have been torn, her face exhausted, but her hands, despite shaking, carried the faint calluses of a musician. "I traveled everywhere," she continued, her voice breaking, "until the company I worked for tried to take something that wasn't theirs. Something my father left me." She tapped the violin case weakly. "He died protecting it. And when I refused to hand it over, they came after me." Shadow shifted closer. Sensing her fear, Logan felt a cold weight settle in his chest. Before Logan could ask another question, Shadow snapped his head toward the alley entrance, a deep growl vibrating in his chest. Logan followed his gaze, and his stomach tightened. Two men stood at the mouth of the alley, silhouettes framed by the streetlight. They weren't wandering strangers. Their posture was deliberate, eyes scanning until they locked onto the woman. Her breath hitched. "That's them," she whispered. Voice trembling, Shadow stepped forward, teeth bared, positioning himself between the woman and the approaching figures. Logan rose to his feet, calm but coiled, every SEAL instinct flaring awake. One of the men smirked. "Hand over the case," he said coldly, "and we'll make this easy." Logan's jaw clenched. Logan stepped forward, his stance shifting into the quiet precision of a Navy SEAL preparing for confrontation. "You're not getting anything," he said. Voice low and steady, the taller man took a step toward him. Shadow lunged, barking with explosive force, teeth flashing in warning. The men froze, startled by the dog's aggression. Logan didn't waste the moment. He grabbed the woman with one arm, securing the violin case with the other. "Move," he whispered to her. The men recovered quickly, but Logan was faster. A swift elbow sent one stumbling back. A sharp pivot forced the second to retreat. Shadow guard. Logan commanded. The dog held the line, snarling. The attackers hesitated, then fled into the night. At the hospital, nurses rushed the woman into an exam room while Logan waited outside with Shadow pacing anxiously at his feet. Minutes felt like hours until a doctor finally emerged, removing his gloves with a slow sigh. "She's severely malnourished," he explained. "Exhaustion, dehydration. She's been running far too long." Logan nodded, relief mixing with anger at what she'd endured. He set the battered violin case gently on a nearby bench, the metal lock glinting beneath the fluorescent lights. Curiosity tugged at him. He eased it open, only for his breath to catch. Inside lay an old, handcrafted violin wrapped in a faded cloth, and beneath it, a small envelope marked with trembling handwriting. When the woman finally opened her eyes, the room was quiet except for the soft hum of hospital machines. Logan sat beside her, the violin case resting safely on his lap. Shadow lay curled at her feet, lifting his head the moment she stirred. "You're safe now," Logan said gently. Tears pooled in her eyes. You didn't have to help me." Logan shook his head. "You were alone in that alley. No one deserves that." And Shadow, he glanced at his partner, who wagged his tail softly. "Shadow knew you needed someone." She looked down at the violin, fingers trembling as she touched the worn wood. "It's all I have left of my father."